My first car was a 75 Falcon Coupe. I drove it until I crashed it. Nothing serious, but it had front end damage that I started to fix with some spare panels scrounged from wreckers. I never got it back on the road, but a friend of mine wanted to buy it to build a nice streeter, so I sold it to him. We loaded it onto a trailer from my parents' property, 20 kilometers out of town, where it had been sitting since I crashed it, and he drove it off at about 1996. I saw him driving it around for a few years after that, and the guy gradually built it into a decent ride. I never knew him well, but I'd say hi from time to time, and we talk about the car. He said he owed me a cruise, and he said he owed me a cruise in it after we had finished, but we never caught up after then, and I didn't see anything from him for maybe 2002 onwards. I always regretted selling that car, and they're hard to find now. In 2010, my parents made some moves to sell up and move this. In 2010, my parents made moves to sell up and move into town and told me I'd better come and get that car if I wanted it. I didn't know what they were talking about. In 2010, my parents made moves to sell up and move into town and told me if I wanted that car, I'd better come get it. I didn't know what they were talking about. Only car I ever owned was that red car, that red coupe. But next trip out there, I went there and my mom said, go get the car. And there it was, sitting up to its axles in dirt, just over a rise over a less used gates into the property. It had the same odd color replacement panels on it and some half-assed paint job. I tried repairing it in the early 90s, same car I sold to the guy, and he restored, but there it was, in its unrestored state. Mom and Dad and Sister Coupe had always been there, but I'd used this entry at least a dozen times to get some storage sheds on the lower corner of the property, since I remember selling it, and it's just not possible to miss it. It was there in 2010. Our Roads and Traffic Authority verified the numbers, and definitely my coupe was never registered after I sold it, and there's no record of a change of ownership. I can't explain that one, unless somehow I forgot I owned something I really wanted and misremembered selling it and seeing it around town after.